And I get this call and they're like, look, your wine's been rejected. I'm like, okay, on what basis? And they're like, well, the panel thought that it lacked typicity. I was like, lactopicity? Yeah. But I sort of wrote this open letter going like, well, if you can explain to me the typical attributes of a single vineyard, Yarra Valley Cabernet Franc, made as full carbonic maceration, 100% whole bunches, unfiltered, unfined, early bottling, I'll wear it.
Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Real Wine People. I am in Melbourne for this episode, catching up with Gary Mills of Jamsheed Wines and Brian Conway of Izway Wines, both old men. They are old men, both old friends and tragic Fremantle Dockers supporters. We caught up in Preston in Gary's enormous shed that he's turning into an urban winery project. Gary is currently running a crowdfunding campaign, and I believe after speaking today that we've missed the boat, but it did get fully funded. In today's episode, we talk about the opening dates there, as well as many other things. That date is looking like it's going to be October for Gary now. And we talk about Trust Tree Brewery in Avalon Beach, another project, and that was supposed to be open probably about a year ago, but we're looking more like 1st of November. Head to the website realwinepeople.com where you'll find show notes with links to what we spoke about today, including links to Gary's crowdfunding campaign. A shortcut is gary.realwinepeople.com. We'll take you to that. So I hope you enjoy this episode with Gary Mills and Brian Conway. Filters afterwards if you want to sound like Barry White or something.
No, I want to sound like I'm under arrest and this is like I'm a whistleblower for something.
Nice.
ABC.
Whistle.
Right. Slight introduction here in Preston in
North Thornbury
with Gary Mills of Jamsheed and Brian Conway of Izway Wines. In Gary's new ridiculously massive industrial shed that's going to be a winery and a bar.
Vast.
Nightclub.
Duff Club.
Duff Club as well.
Yeah. Pinga Bar.
Nice.
Nang Bar.
Nang Bar.
No, yeah, pop-up bar. Semi-permanent pop-up bar. Event space.
Nice.
Community hub.
Really?
Tourist destination.
Nice. Mate.
Yeah, whatever I can do to turn $1 on it. So.
Fair enough.
Because as we know, distro is dead.
What's dead?
Distro. Not disco. Disco still is distro. Distribution.
Oh, right, distro.
Right.
I thought it was some sort of disco bistro.
Oh, can you imagine?
Yeah, that'd be all
I
right.
might do like a Mexican disco cantina.
So it's dead, huh? Done.
Oh, it's not. It's just hard to make a turn of profit.
Yeah, okay.
You know, costs keep getting higher. You bid. You know, it's like cost keep. Your cost of goods goes up and up and up, and there's just now permanent downward pressure on how much you sell a bottle for.
Yeah.
So I'm making less and less every year for getting my wine, making the same wine, and yeah. So it's unless you're selling unless you got a cellar door or an outlet, you can sell by the glass. You know, I can sell a glass of wine, I can make a profit on that bottle right there.
Yeah, 100%.
And then everything else after that's just fat. So
Sure. Yeah, we opened a cellar door 12 months ago and noticed a difference already just to the, being able to pay bills.
Yeah. You don't
time.
need much, just need just a constant, it's just constant turnover, like that little bit more value add and stuff, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon if I can sell like 15-20% of my stock through the cellar door, I'm going to make 60-70% more than what I do at the moment than distro.
You should do that in
Right.
a canter, I'd imagine.
You know what?
A canter?
I reckon it'll work, yeah.
Yeah.
The corporate functions and the weddings and
Yeah.
and the whole... Yeah, I mean, the first 6 months will be like a honeymoon tire kicking period, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. But how many people do you get through your cellar door?
I don't know. I've got
count
an
it?
app for that.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Well, not the people that are through, but, the people that certainly buy.
Yep.
Let's have a look. So how did you get into wine?
It's just drinking. Like I came at it from a very much a consumer point. I was never a trained sommelier. I was never a trained winemaker. No history, no family in wine. So,
Sure.
I mean, the point that I got into wine, I was a Japanese-speaking tour guide in Cairns, in Queensland.
Which is how most people get into
it.
the
It's a
industry.
natural progression.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Straight away. Mango wine, standard wine, bang.
Kiwi fruit wine,
Yep.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you call cane toad wine?
Yeah, that's it.
No, I'd got back from. I'd been living in London, and I was working in good bars there. Like I got introduced and exposed to really good wine in London, working for a couple of good gastro pubs and stuff.
Yep.
So I got to see some interesting wines and stuff that I'd never seen before. Because I grew up with my dad literally drinking Swan Gold and, Swan Valley Shiraz and stuff, and that was it.
Good man.
Yeah, it was there, but it wasn't like it was a very narrow experience I was having with wine and alcohol at that time,
Yeah.
And then, we're all the same. Like at the left bank, it was more or less about quality than it was about quantity.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just chug it down as much as you can get.
It's always about free drinks for me because
Yeah,
one of my great mates worked there. And then it turns out one of my other great mates and my other great mates worked there.
All work there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It
That's
was a hub.
ridiculous.
What year was that when we were both working at the
That
left
would have
bank?
been 97?
Yeah, true.
That's when I was getting in. So I went back to
96,
study viticulture then
Okay, where'd you study that?
at Curtin.
And you were working left bank at that point?
Working left bank, living in Freo.
It's tough times, mate.
Yeah, that was fun.
The place used to crank back then.
Yeah, it was hard. It was even.
Probably still does. I just don't.
Yeah, it's different sort of vibe now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but 10 beers for like 150 as opposed to $5.
Yeah.
It's a bit different.
Is that what it is now?
That's what I used to pay when my friend was working there.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
It shall remain
You actually
nameless.
paid? Actually,
Yeah,
didn't just get
Sort of.
drinks card every day. So.
sort of.
But yeah, so I remember like I was in London. I needed to change, so I thought I knew I could speak limited Japanese. So I went back to
Yep.
Cairns, had a mate who was working there, and he's like, "Come work, I'll get you a job like that." And we're making heaps of coin. And then the Japanese bubble economy burst.
Oh, okay.
So and literally it went from like making total bank every week to making nothing. Like within 3 months, it was just this drop. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
this has got nuts on it. I'm out. So I literally just called my dad and was like, hey, look, I want a break. I'm just going to come back to WA. He still lives in Yallingup, Quindelup.
Quindelup, yep. Used to service the tractors.
Yeah, he still does the old bit. Yeah, does he?
Yeah, he's
Still-
in charge
yeah.
of the men's shed now. We
Yeah, he
spoke
does
to him
the
the other
men's
day
shed,
about getting them to make some beehive frames for us.
Yeah. That's you.
Yeah, well, Simon, who works with us, approached him.
Yeah, because he keeps talking about making heaps. He's doing all weird mirrors and blowers and just tinkering around. So you can't stop. So he's great.
Yeah,
the old
okay.
man, so.
Cool.
And I was just like, oh, look, do you know anyone who's got any work? And he's like, oh, yeah, well, we've got a mate who works at Amberley Estate when it was still there. And he's like, get your vineyard job. So I got the vineyard job and then started studying viticulture, thinking I'd start into wine there, get into the industry then. But then literally met, and this is where I met Brian. I had a Kiwi mate who was working at Amberley. He's like, oh, man, come to California. And I was like, but I don't have any experience. He's like, nah, just lie. Lie about how much experience you got.
20-year anniversary, mate.
I saw
This year.
James
Yep.
Lance last night. So yeah.
Yeah, nice. 20 years.
20 years. Wow, fuck, it's gone.
We haven't aged.
No, not
Not
at
a
all.
bit.
So
And
where was Brian working when you...
we'll see. I was at Ridge Vineyards. You were at
No, I hadn't started. I just did 2 weeks work experience with you.
No, in
being
California.
good, and then went to California. I was at
what's it called?
McCrosty Wines
In
yeah.
Sonoma or
In
Calistoke?
Sonoma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just for my brain, so you... 97 left bank, what, 98?
98 at Ridge Vineyards. So. Oh no, 98 at Amberley.
1 year at Amberley?
Not even that. One season.
Just pruning season, or?
I did sampling.
Oh, okay.
Sampling and picking and harvesting, just organising
Just the
things
Shannon.
and stuff.
Just the Shannon. though.
Just Shannon,
Yeah.
only Shannon.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Just didn't want to touch anything else. only minimally pruned Shannon at that because I love powdery mildew.
Yeah.
It makes me stronger.
Yeah.
God, the amount of Shannon Amberley used to pump out. Well, so I met you, Brian, at the Applecross Cellars?
Bigton Cellars.
Bigton
Bigton
Cellars.
Cellars.
I was the erstwhile manager of Bigton Cellars.
The erstwhile manager. And then came down, did vintage, and then...
No, I just came and saw you for. I said, "Oh Ben, I've got this. What was it called?
IUD.
Yeah, thank you for taking that out. Yeah.
International Education
It is an
Agricultural
IUD.
Exchange or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's a CAEP.
I see.
California
So I wasn't even
Agricultural.
close. Yeah. So I was like, "Oh Ben, I've
With a schmuckster.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Schmuck.
Chuck Schmuck. Seriously, Charles Schmuck was the guy who was organising.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Chuck Schmuck. He was a
Interesting
nice guy.
Yeah.
He was a nice guy. Everyone else were fucking douchebags, but
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah. Remember we got arrested, or she tried to get us arrested? That
Oh yeah.
we were nude swimming. So
Yeah.
but Brian and I and James Lance from Punch Wines, we all met.
And Dan Standish was
And
there
Dan
as well.
Standish. We all met at the Pink Flamingo Hotel in downtown Santa Rosa.
Yeah. Amazing hotel.
It was awesome. It was like literally something out
Rotating
of-
flamingo at the
Rotating massive neon pink flamingo.
Yeah,
Like,
sure. It's still there?
I hope
Yeah, it's
so.
still there. Yeah.
We should buy it
But that
actually for here.
Santa
Maybe we
Rosa's-
could get it.
oof. The pink flamingo would be good.
Oh.
But Santa Rosa's gone. It's a bit pants at the moment. I think it's become a bit of a meth dive these days, from what I've heard.
Great.
Not the greatest place on earth, but anyway. So they got about 300 winemaking students and stagiaire kids who were all in California at the same time. Put them all into the Pink Flamingo Hotel with a whole lot of duty-free booze and a whole lot of hormones. What did they think was going to happen? So it was like a sex.
Only good things.
Literally was a sex party. It was a drunk sex orgy. The whole way. It was.
Is that right, Brian? Can you?
Yes, Brian testifies.
Yeah, no, look, it was.
Testify, Brian. Testify.
It was. Yeah, look, it was.
It was so much fun.
It was great.
So the last night though, everyone was getting stuck into the duty-free liquor, and we decided we'd go skinny dipping. It was nice and warm. It was just coming into summer, so we went skinny dipping in the pool. Who was running the whole thing called the cops on us, trying to get us arrested.
Yeah,
and we're like, come on, Wendy or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I'm sitting there talking to California Highway patrolman nude, trying to not to get stuck in the back of a patrol car. And I'm like, dude, come on, just having a swim without my clothes on. I just forgot my bathers. They just
Which can happen. It was a balmy, clearly a balmy evening.
Yeah, so that's where we met, and then so I took off and worked for Ridge Vineyards mainly in Montebello, so the one south of San Francisco,
Sure.
in the Santa Cruz Mountains.
Yes.
Yeah, Brian went up to McCrosty, James went to Garlow, and then we sort of been great friends ever since. So it's amazing, sort of the people that I met back then I'm still friends with, and see like Rachel Niederbar,
Yeah.
Bill Downey's partner.
No, I don't know. No, but
Met her.
Yeah,
She
it's
was
lovely, yeah.
and
They're
she
great
was,
people.
Yeah, and she was working for Old Bridge Cellars, importers there, and then
Oh, that's right,
worked
yeah.
Kermit Lynch, and then
yeah.
so it's just all these people you just continue to see. So yeah, it's great.
I mean, the fact that we're doing a podcast now with the guy that got me my first gig in, like, if I hadn't have done that 2 weeks, the guy that arranged it, the guy that arranged it said, "Oh, look, you have to have vintage experience." I said, "Hang on. If I do 2 weeks at my mate's place, does that mean I'll be the first person from Australia that's ever got a job that hasn't done vintage?" He goes, "Yes." I said, "We're going to do this."
Nice.
So yeah,
2 weeks is a vintage.
it was not, but it was great. I learned a
You
lot.
can get things done in a vintage.
Oh, yeah.
I learned a lot.
God knows I've given kids a flick after 1 week, and they call that a vintage. So
Yeah.
And then in Melbourne now, with the only weekend the Fremantle Dockers aren't playing, so they're usually show up to those games.
I think we are just saving ourselves a whole lot of misery, or
What today?
I don't know.
Why?
I just imagine.
Did you not see the win last week?
No. I'm just saying that
You
if
were
we
hungover, buddy.
if we went to a game, it'd be a guaranteed loss.
Which it always was.
It always was.
We'd
Whenever
be playing
go,
Melbourne, bottom of the ladder. We'd come
Yeah.
across last game of the season.
we'd lose by 15 goals.
Yeah, be crazy.
We've been to some winning games.
We've seen a
haven't we?
couple. Yeah.
I don't.
I just get this awful feeling I'm a bit of a hex on Fremantle.
It doesn't exist. The hex doesn't exist. Just doesn't.
Well,
I
this
mean,
weekend we're guaguaranteed to not lose. So that was pretty
We're guaranteed to come out of it
we
unscathed.
lost Lob, so I mean,
Lost what?
lost Lob. Lob's out with an injury.
right.
Yeah, so Ballantyne's coming back into ruck.
great. Yeah.
Should be great. Yeah. Should do well.
And Bennell might start.
Oh, God.
Yeah, well,
really?
that'd be good.
Maybe.
With one calf.
Nah, he's all right,
He
mate.
could borrow Sandyland's other calf.
Wouldn't it be the
Yeah.
Franken run?
Yeah,
You're running in
long kick.
circles. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I haven't watched a lot of footy this year. I don't know.
No, me
I
too.
think because I've been hanging out with you so much, just haven't watched a lot. So.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, I mean, it's been a bit busy, hasn't it? But I watched that Collingwood game.
Oh, the one we won after the
Yeah,
side.
well, I kind of walked in and out of the room because I don't know. It's one of those
You were
things.
going to kick the TV, weren't you?
Oh, I just thought my heart was going to probably throw it in my chest. Stroke, which is kind of part and parcel of being a Fremantle fan. Yeah, death
Well, after the
could be
tears,
imminent.
The masochism, slight masochistic tendency.
Speaking of masochism, when did you start Izway then?
03.
Right, with Craig.
Yeah, Craig, yeah. It's
And
from Craigisbell.
What did that entail? Just buying some fruit?
Yeah, it was half a tonne of 100-year-old Ebenezer Shiraz that Kim Toisner got for us.
Cool.
Izzy made the 5, the 3, 4, 5, and the 6, and then I started making.
Was that at Torwick when he was doing it? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I started. Well, and then I started on
digs.
this. Yeah, it was good. We were very lucky to be able to, like, extremely lucky to be able to do that. You know what it's like to not. Well, you know the opposite side of the coin. You know, having to pay a heck of a lot of money to
there's
lease
coin?
spaces. Well, no. Well, there is
There's
now
never
because
been
I
any
sold
coin,
my
but
share. But
yeah.
like prior to that, no, there was none. But yeah, we're very lucky to be able to use their equipment and the space. But we just started with half a tonne.
And then you ended up buying a pretty old vineyard.
Yeah, bought a 1901 planted Grenache vineyard in Seppeltsfield in 06. Turned that into a fully sustainable solar-powered winery, so off-grid, the only off-grid winery in the Barossa Valley.
Cool.
Cool. Zombie apocalypse. I'm coming to make one at your place.
Oh, nice. Do it.
Oh, no, you're not there anymore.
Oh, I've sold, yeah. Sorry, damn. But Craig loves you anyway, so you're always welcome.
Craig will have weapons. You'll have weapons for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
Baked beans and weapons.
That was the only thing I didn't buy before I left. I thought, we've got to get some guns.
Goddamn, we tried. So.
Yeah, right. And then when did you start, and how did you start
03.
Jamsheed? Oh, okay,
Same
cool.
thing. I came back from Cali. I sort of had intended to move back to Margaret's and try and do something there, but really didn't have any idea. But I think you got me the contract you organised put me in touch with the people at what was Yarra Ridge in the
Yes,
Yarra
I
Valley.
did, Gary. I'm still waiting for the wine.
I'll give you a hug. I'll give you a hug after they've finished here.
But
I'll buy you pizza.
The
and a beer.
Briano. 3 Brianos. Great.
So,
It was great to have you. I was so stoked you came over then.
yeah, it's
Thank
good fun.
God
So
you were there.
I did night shift. It was great fun, but you were doing day shift. Weren't you? Yeah, it was an interesting experience. It was interesting coming from having worked at Ridge Vineyards, which is very. I mean, for those who don't know, everyone who don't know Ridge, they are like the pinnacle of sort of quality wine in California. The level of
amazing,
the level
wines.
of quality, the level of care, the level of investment in everything is fantastic. Yeah. So, and then coming back to what at the time was a processing plant, effectively.
Sure.
And it really made no difference. It could have been tuna than what we were doing. It was like, get that shit into that tank, and then it gets on a truck and it goes to the mothership.
Right.
And I'm like, oh. And I remember one day looking at this fruit coming in. There's some really nice Shiraz from Upper Yarra Valley Vineyard, and I was like, man, this fruit is pristine. This is awesome, and here I am, like all guns blazing, sort of 29, think I'm fucking king shit and know everything about wine already after 2 vintages. And it turns up, and then there was a job sheet with it, and it was like, add everything,
Right.
add acid, add tannin, add this, add yeast, add DAP, add that, da-da. And I'm just like, nah, man, this doesn't need this shit's bright, So I called up who shall remain unnamed, because early in the shift, and I was just like, oh look, man, why don't you just come and have a look at this fruit? It doesn't need any of this stuff, man. It's just tip top. You really want to have a look at this. And there was this pause, and he was like, who the fuck do you think you are? Just fucking at it, stick it in. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
So I got to get out of here and do my own thing. So,
Yeah, right.
So then, as soon as I think it was
we
even,
did.
So we did. Yeah. So I took on some contract. I did a lot of contract winemaking for people.
Yep.
So there was a little place called Bianchit, which still exists.
That's right.
Actually,
Yeah, the
in
Bianchit.
Coldstream
Your
West.
first Syrah.
Yeah. So I looked after the vineyard and then made the wines for them, which was great. It was like it was an old vineyard. It's never really had as much sort of notoriety as it should, because it's as old as like Mount Mary. It's around the corner from Mount Mary, and nice old vineyard. Had some really beautiful old Verduzzo, old Italian Friulano.
Didn't have a lot of care though. Like you went in and pruned it.
I cut it back. I stripped the whole thing back, and so I tried to reinvigorate the vineyard. And it was great. I mean, that was 03. So the first one I released was an 03 Shiraz and Gewürztraminer from that vineyard, which was great, and that got me on the way. So, but it's a hard slog, and I went into it with a $10,000 MasterCard, which I'm still paying off.
Wow, nice.
So that's still there, and
I just put them in the glove boxes. So just move on.
Yeah.
Move on.
And then from there ended up leasing a winery in Sylvan, which was a small place, and did the same thing. It was sort of my company was Jamsheed was really built on the back of contract winemaking. So I would make 90% of the wines I'd make would be for other people. I'd have a little bit for me, and then it sort of just gradually got to the point now it's the other way. So 95% for me and 5% for other people that I make. So
Great. And you'll be making some of that 5% in the shed?
yeah, it's only one vineyard that I actually work with now.
Cool.
And it's restricted to the people who will grow fruit for me. At the moment it's the Warner Vineyard up in Beechworth. I make some wine for them off their vineyard.
I did 05 vintage with you.
Yeah, that was
Sylvan
in Sylvan.
vineyard. Yeah. And wasn't that the first year you did a whole bunch?
Yeah,
Full
that's first
100%
Not
whole
100%. No, it was 60.
No. Yeah.
First
Was it?
full
Okay.
year whole bunch was 08.
That's right.
And was there much of that going on, as far as you
Bits
know?
and pieces. There was like the Bortleys were doing and still do really good things with their Syrah.
Yeah.
And they were one of the only people calling it Syrah at the time. Yarra Yering have always done a lot of whole bunch, but it's not technically a whole bunch. They kind of use tea bag, like they use stems, but not necessarily a whole bunch. Not really carbonic, you know.
Who's that?
Yarra Yering.
Oh, okay.
Barley carousels. Mount Mary always did a lot of whole bunch with the Pinots and things. But,
Sure.
but in terms of like Syrah, and you know, you also got to think that Yarra Valley's never really been known for Syrah. So it was always sort of Pinot. It still is known for, and now with climate change, it probably is better for Syrah Cabernet than it actually is suited to Pinot Chard these days.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, so doing that to the Syrah, it's not like I was reinventing the wheel. I mean, that, you know, the whole thing with the wine and the style of wines I've always made is that I only ever tried to impersonate the wines I like to drink.
Yep.
And I was really lucky when I was at Ridge Vineyards in California. I was Paul Draper's really good friends with. I had a good relationship with Kermit Lynch, the Berkeley wine importer, Berkeley-based wine importer. So we got to drink some seriously good gear.
Great.
And a lot of it, and I just sort of found I was naturally sort of drawn to the things that had a whole bunch stems inclusion, you know, a lot of that Morgon stuff and the clap and, you know, the Northern Rhone stuff that had a really high percentage of whole bunches. And so I was just like, oh, yeah, what happens if we do this?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I think you're probably selling yourself a little bit short there. I mean, you really kind of, I think, started the revolution of whole bunch Shiraz in the country. I know you are.
Look, I was an early adopter. I think there are definitely other people doing it.
Yeah, there was, but I think really on a real sort of commercially well-known scale, you really lit the fire for a lot of other kids and, you know, in the industry to sort of have
nice.
have
if
a crack.
that's
Well, it's just the
case, then
truth.
good, you know.
And mate, I think also what happened with, you know, there was that big hoo-ha about one of your whole bunch wines, the Cabernet. A lot of people don't know, but to export wine, you have to get it tested for, you know, all the specs, and it's got to make sure it's not too much VA or etc. Meet the legal limits of the country you're going into. But also there used to be a tasting panel that used to taste your wine.
A panel of our peers.
A panel of our peers would taste the wine.
One of our peers actually used to do that.
Which is
She actually did vintage with us. Kim Jackson, or Kim Johnson was her name then. But she was. She only did it. I don't think she tasted your wine, so don't hold it against that.
No, never.
Lovely girl.
God, I wish they'd bring that panel back. It was the greatest marketing I ever had.
Yeah. So talk us through that. Like, how did all that go down?
It was one of the first times I was actually exporting because it was a 2011 Yarra Valley Cabernet Franc. Ma Petite Francine is the name of it. So it was a Yarra Valley Cold Stream single vineyard oldish vine Cabernet Franc.
Yeah.
2011 was, you know, I don't know if you remember, in Yarra Valley, it was a pretty difficult vintage. It was really wet. It's the most rainfall, the coldest day temp we've ever had across a vintage. I don't think you had a day over 32 or something like that. There's not a lot of sunshine. So there was a point when we were like, okay, I don't think we're actually going to get any fruit at all.
It was shitful. Like, I think
shitful for it. Still some of the best white wines ever made.
The white wines were. There was some lovely Chardonnays. Yeah.
But again, like the 11 reds now, I've still got a whole bunch there, and I'm reselling them now because they look so good.
Okay,
funny. It's kind of like
it was not shitful for Gary, but it was pretty shitful.
No, it was shit. It definitely was shitful in terms of trying to sell the wine and trying to get the message across that it wasn't as bad as it was. But anyway, so I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to do something else. I'll find what fruit's available. Friends Vineyard, Denton Vineyard had some Cabernet Franc. I was like, oh, I'll do that. And I had a Californian girl working with me at the time, and she's like, oh, what are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know, what I normally do, just 100% whole bunch, and, you know. And so, but that was the first time I actually really went like full no sulfur, carbonic maceration, cap on, lots of dry ice.
So that was the first vintage of that Cab Franc?
Yeah, 2011 was, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. But I'd be making Syrah, but it was 100% carbonic maceration, but then post the Cab Mac period, it will get long-term extended maceration. So the Cab Mac effect would sort of lessen and become more about whole bunches and sort of, you know, different level of extraction. Whereas with the Cab Franc, it was really just that 2 weeks on skins, whole bunch, pressed out, a couple of barrels, you know, just barrel for like 3 months till the Malo finished and then bottled it. And and I had my Japanese importers who, and at the time, this is when the panel was around.
Yeah.
But my Japanese importer was Ned Goodwin. Well, it's Ned Goodwin and Carl and
sure,
some
that's
Japanese
Wine
Diamonds Japan. Yeah, they were great. And Ned came out one day and was tasting this wine. I was like, this is awesome. I think we need this. I want to take some of this to Japan. And I'm like, yeah, cool. All right. So it's 5 dozen. Something like that, you know, 60 bottles.
Yeah.
But of course, because it was as part of a larger pallet consolidation, you had to get it.
So what's the rule? The rule is under
100 litres.
Okay, which is 11 cases is 99.
But that's the total shipment.
Sure. So
it's not just single SKUs.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, so if it was part of a larger shipment, you had to get it tested. So oh, Christ, okay.
Far out.
Which was sending 2 bottles at my own cost. And this is a wine I made 80 cases of, so there wasn't a lot of it around anyway. So 2 bottles at my own cost to South Australia. You pay for the export analysis.
Yep, the VI1s.
The VI1s and the J1s and stuff you had to do, which is a couple of $100, you know. And me just so naively just going like, oh, it's fine. And so this was just at the point where the pallet was about to ship. So I stuck it on a pallet and shipped it to port.
Sure.
And we we're just waiting for the export analysis and the data to come back and the you know, continuing approval numbers and stuff. And I get this call and they're like, oh, look, your wine's been rejected. I'm like, oh, okay, on what basis? And they're like, well, it's passed. And I was like, well, is there something wrong with the numbers? You know, because there's legal limits of volatile acidity,
Sure.
there's sort of other bits. And they're going, no, it passed all of them, but it didn't pass the tasting panel. And I was like, oh, and what exactly was wrong with it? And they said, well, one of the panel thought it was microbiologically unstable because it had CO2 in it. And I'm like, well,
What?
That's just dissolved carbon dioxide. It's not.
And all champagne would have been
faulty.
microbial.
Yeah, exactly. There you go, isn't it?
And it's delicious
those
gosa that I'm
nasty
drinking.
I was like, oh, okay, well, it's not. You know, is there any, you know, can you check the 4EP? And it's like, I had the 4EP check for Brettanomyces, nothing there, so it was relatively stable. Wasn't the most stable wine going around. And she's like, it was also cloudy. I'm like, yeah, it's unfiltered.
Wow.
And she's going, but actually, what's really sold it is that that the panel thought that it lacked typicity. I was like, typicity? And they're saying, yeah, it's sort of, so that, in their view, it...
of the variety.
Right. And it wasn't represented enough of Australian wine and wasn't going to represent Australian wine well enough.
Sure.
So the deal was that they taste another bottle, which is the same people the next day tasting the same wine. So lo and behold, it got rejected again. And, you know, look, I might have innocently just put something on Twitter.
So still lacked typicity the next day?
Still lacked typicity the next day. It's amazing. Didn't change. But I just sort of wrote this open letter.
So it must have been stable then.
Yeah.
Definitely stable. Yeah, that's
No
fine.
beaver, no bottle variation there.
Just typicity. Yeah.
But I sort of wrote this open letter going like, well, if you can explain to me the typical attributes of a single vineyard, Yarra Valley, Cabernet Franc, made as full carbonic maceration, 100% whole bunches, unfiltered, unfined, early bottling, I'll wear it.
Yeah. I remember seeing that.
Yeah, and
That's
it's
pretty
kind
cool.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, God, I wish.
Yeah, I remember that.
I wish they'd never closed this panel. I sold more wine on the back of that. Like I sold for the 5 dozen I didn't get to export to Japan because I had to pull it off the shipment. I sold 20 dozen, 30 dozen the next day, full retail. People just going, you know, up yours wine Australia. This wine must be good. And there were people there was a place in Sydney who then started a wine list.
Yeah.
He started a wine list, a separate page in his wine list of wines that were rejected by Wine Australia.
Oh, that's great.
Did Stu do that?
Yeah.
Oh, how good is he?
He's awesome.
He's
Yeah,
good
it
for
was-
so many reasons, but that's just so good.
Yeah, so like this is gold. So it was literally, it's one of the best things I ever did. And then it wasn't me that shut down. You know, it wasn't that wine. There was a bigger case of a larger corporate winery, one of our larger
Friends.
one of our nation's larger wineries that got there.
Right.
The most exported white wine from Australia got rejected on the grounds of excessive sulfides.
Right.
And they took it to court, and it was a absolute shit fight. So then it got shut down.
How long after your letter did it get shut down?
3 months, 4 months, something like that.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely before the next vintage.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh, it's a shame. I actually wish that. Now, like I said, it's like I've got all these other wines. Do you want to reject them?
Yeah,
I need to sell them.
Imagine the list. You would have
Yeah.
just been all over it.
But I think, you know, after disbanding that, to me it seemed like, I know it was the timing with this, you know, one of our larger corporate friends and lawyers, but it seemed like there was so much more crazy, lo-fi,
Oh man, it opened up.
natural, whatever you want to call it, that was, you know, opening up to the world. And then
Yep.
I think that coincided with a lot of people seeing it overseas, coming back, searching these things out. But a lot of my friends who were sort of working in overseas places, sort of seeing this gear and coming back and then not finding it here because our local market still hadn't really.
No, it hadn't cottoned on.
Yeah.
It really was the beginning of that was 2011 was the beginning of the revolution. Like it was sort of, it's when a lot of the shackles started to fall off and there was a lot of micro producers around and, you know, making really interesting stuff and bucking the trend of high alcohol extracted Australian wine, which wasn't really selling at the time anyway. Australian exports had never been at a lower ebb around that sort of 2000 and from the 2000s on, you know, it was really struggling. But and even the case with not just that Mappetite, that Cabernet Franc that got rejected, the 2011 vintage, which was for Australians, was probably the lightest. You know, I mean, I made Pinots in 2012 that had more colour than the Syrahs I was making in 2011. You know,
Right.
you couldn't sell a bottle of it in Australia. Like there were journos who had basically panned the entire vintage and written off the entire Victorian vintage based on what they'd seen the weather to be like. and the initial taste of a few wines that they tasted. So we couldn't sell a bottle of 2011, but 2011 was the first time I started exporting to Japan, US and UK. And their reaction when they saw the 2011s were like, this is the kind of wine we've been waiting for from Australia. It's like, we're so sick of these high octane, muscular, sort of thick, syrupy, blown out Australian wines. We want wines with freshness and acid and, that we can serve on the table. So it was kind of, I sold more of the 2011 Syrahs overseas than I ever sold in Australia that year.
Wow.
Because you basically just couldn't sell them. That's my mate with my glycol system.
Oh, cool. Well, yeah, my beer's almost empty, so.
Oh, okay. Do you want to pause it?
Let's leave it running. It's the worst that could happen.
Yeah, if you make Wolf your last appointment on Wednesday,
Oh, yeah.
and then I'll come and join you for a beer and a pizza.
Okay, cool.
Because yours has got the pizza oven that's going to park there, so I'm going to have a permanent pizza, wood-fired pizza oven here.
Who's going to do the bar?
I'll do the bar.
Yeah.
And I'll have to hire a venue manager and stuff. And Elika, my girl's she wants to work there as well. So
Awesome.
It only starts at 4. It's only Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to begin with.
Oh, great.
Yeah, tell us more about this place.
Oh, this place.
So you just got a new glycol chiller off the guys at
Wolf and Swill.
Wolf and Swill.
If you haven't been there, best pizza in Melbourne right now.
There you go.
Well, do you remember a boy named Sue that used to be up near James's place, up in
Yes,
St.
I never
Andrews?
ate there.
So yours was the guy who created that, so he's the brains behind that, and he's since done Laser Pig in the city, which is really good.
Oh, yeah.
You'd be selling wine there, I reckon.
No idea, mate.
Probably.
Fine,
I
I'll
reckon
tell you
would be.
tomorrow.
It's the kind of place that would love your gear. So.
Right. Writing all this down. Lucky we were recording it.
Yes, lucky that it's on fire.
You'd remember Laser Pig.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Laser
kind of
Pig,
a late
yeah.
Amazir.
So they own that and the Grace Darling Hotel on Smith Street.
Sure.
It's the same group. Well, they did, and then Yoz doesn't work with those guys anymore. But he then built this pizza truck that was running around. It was actually at Moondog for a while.
Yep.
And he doesn't have any use for it next. He's built this new place. He's like, hey, can I drop it here? And I'm like, dude, I would love to have pizza because, to have permanent pizza and I don't have to worry about food. I don't have to build a grease trap. I don't have to do anything. It's like he just come in, he'll look after all the pizza. People would sit down and eat and drink and yeah. So this place is Urban Winery. So it's an idea that I've had ever since we worked in California, and certainly it all comes back to California.
Yep.
So there was a bar there, or a winery called Rosenblum.
Oh, that's right.
And every year we would do the 3 R's in tasting, comparative tasting. It was Ravenswood, Ridge and Rosenblum. We used to all sit down and there'd be this annual event. We'd sit down and all the winemakers and all the people involved would have this great dinner and we'd try everybody's new releases, pre-releases. And so the Rosenblum guys were really nice. They invited me down and went and had a look around. They had this cool little, it was literally like a warehouse on the Alameda Docks. And the Alameda Docks in Oakland, at that time, they literally were the epicenter of the crack war. So this was it was a very salubrious neighborhood. But this cool little place, and they were just doing little 1-ton ferments, and they would sell literally as much booze as they could make out the front door.
Right.
And I was like, fuck, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen, It's like, it's totally urban environment, nothing to do with wine, nothing, no vineyards, nothing. It's downtown Oakland on the dock, It's like, yeah, I reckon this would work. So it's sort of, ever since then, I've had the idea to do it. And, I'm not, again, it's the same thing, I'm not reinventing the wheel. Like Noisy Ritual, who are down the road on Lygon Street, that's a different sort of MO. Theirs is very much a people-powered, like, come and press your own wine. And
Sure.
but it's an urban facility. And there's a guy in Sydney, Alex Retief, who's done Urban Winery Sydney. So I'm not the first one to do it. I mean, I've had the idea for a long time.
But I think now, Oakland, they've got that whole urban winery trail. There's so many that have popped up.
Portland. That's Portland.
Oh, no, Oakland in the Bay Area.
Oh, they got is there an urban winery trail?
Yeah,
on there?
yeah,
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Far out, really.
Yeah, it's nuts.
That's cool.
It's named after you, actually, Gary. When we visited there at the time, it was such an auspicious occasion. I thought you might have actually picked up on that.
There's 42 urban wineries in Portland. So, the whole idea, it's a proven... sorry, you can edit that bump out.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know how to. It's probably going to stay in. That was a bump.
That was a bump. That was a chair
you
bump.
can move the microphone. So. You don't have to move the...
move the chair. Oh, this thing moves.
Yeah, it moves.
Right.
Yeah, it's...
that was more my back posture.
Right.
So I could just see you all.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's a proven model that works, and it's sort of, I can tell you why it hasn't happened in Melbourne a lot, because it's a fucking annoying process. It takes a long time and it's really expensive. And
is that mainly just red tape? Red tape,
yeah, just getting everything through. And, we have there's the additional issues, which I now will have to consider, which is phylloxera protocols, so, because this is, I've made a point of, if I could have done this in Footscray or something like that, and I would have done it because the rent there been so cheap, but Footscray becomes a phylloxera exclusion zone, so you can't bring any Yarra Valley fruit into. Because I'm mainly Yarra Valley based. I mean, I do have vineyard sources from other places, but my vineyard that I farm and look after is in Yarra Valley. So you can't bring anything pretty much west of Sydney Road.
Right.
Is an exclusion zone. So that's protecting Grampians and protecting South Australia effectively. So there's no grapevine material to cross over. Yarra Valley is a phylloxera infestation zone.
Right.
Which means no fruit's supposed to be able to transport out of that, but you can transport fruit from phylloxera infestation zone to infestation zone. So I can bring my Beechworth fruit into the Yarra Valley. You just need a permit to transport it across what is now called the phylloxera restriction zone, which is where I am here. So I can bring restriction zone fruit in, and
infestation zone.
Infestation zone I won't. Exclusion zone I can. You can bring anything out of Grampians.
So how do you deal with your vineyard?
Up until last week, my vineyard was in the restriction zone, and now they've just found a new, apparently Killara estate in Yarra Valley has just been found to have phylloxera. So now my vineyard is in the infestation zone, so it's now new challenges. So what I'll probably have to do at the very little is have it like whites get pressed somewhere in the infestation zone.
Right.
Pressed and clarified.
Right.
Of course, I'm going to filter all my juice and bring it down here. I would never think of not filtering my juice.
Yeah, do that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I love clean, pale juice that has no nutrient value or no.
Well, you can add it back. They've got packets for that now.
Packets of dried, dehydrated.
Exactly.
Terroir. Is there packets of terroir as well? I get one of those as well.
I was thinking about that before when you were talking about that fruit that you'd got in that was pristine, and you rang the winemaker because the seller sheet, which is your instructions, for what's coming in, says all this stuff. We used to get. I worked at Howard Park, and we would have these sheets which would have an addition of terroir. And we'd just get a bucket of like dirt and gravel and have it next to the crusher. And we'd tell the French interns who were coming in, it's like, no, hey, we've got all the additions, you got to put the tartaric in, and we've got this tannin or whatever the winemakers decided. And it's like, and the terroir, and they'd just be looking at each other going, this is not terroir. It's like, you've got no, this is it. You see this bucket? This bucket has to go into there. Like, that's how it works. It's terroir. And they would get all the way to doing it, just swearing, and like they sort of almost formed this little posse where they would like all together going, this is bullshit.
Australien.
Aussie pigs. Some sort of bullshit.
Ce n'est pas du terroir. C'est pas possible.
And then we'd stop them at the last minute, and they were still angry for like 10 minutes afterwards until they realised that we were just pulling the piss. So you can
awesome.
I think
I'm going to have to do that as well.
It's good fun.
Absolutely.
But there actually is. I saw recently that there's a company who are pitching cultured yeast as terroir, and they're actually called terroir.
Right.
That's the brand name that they have for these cultured yeast. Going, so add some terroir back. It's like, you guys get it. You really get it.
That's funny.
So this place will be, I plan to be. This is Melbourne's only first 100% owner-operator where 100% of the wines made on site or sold on site, you know what I mean? So it's not like I'm buying in wines to be... I'm going to sell some of my mates' wines, sell your wines and stuff, we'll have these different
Brian's
events. Not Brian's, no, I don't like Brian's wines. No,
that's great.
They don't exist yet. So.
True.
Oh, no, you're still selling Izway.
I am, quite
okay.
well, actually.
All right, I'll have some Izway.
Thanks, mate. Bit of Mataro, Alianico.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. The
Low sulfur Alianico is probably up your alley, I think.
Yep. There you go. Yeah, well, it's the kind of thing. I mean, I can do whatever I want. So this will be my thing to do whatever I want. I'm going to have events. I'm going to do, just have fun. Basically,
cool.
I want to
have
a
graffiti. Bit of graffiti, or
no, it can be cleaner. You don't have to ask for graffiti. It'll happen. So not inside anyway.
I think we should probably start with some graffiti ourselves.
Just draw massive cock and balls on the wall
everywhere.
I did that just before. That's fine.
If I see a cock and balls, I know who to bloody hassle now. I can do weddings. I mean, there's real money in weddings and events, and but lo-fi, like food truck weddings. It's not going to be frou-frou. It's very much not going to be. It's a very non-traditional cellar door in the sense that. Non-traditional for the Yarra Valley in Victoria. Like, it's not a place you can come and do. I'm not giving stuff away. I'm not giving booze away. So you can come in and have a glass of wine. You can do flights. I have vintage wines. I have wines back to 2003. So I'll
Awesome.
be selling them, and you can
Wow.
do tastes, and so it'll be
And have a pizza.
have pizza.
Yeah,
Yeah,
is
I'll
that
do
the
some
only-
charcuterie
Oh,
and
cool.
cheeses, and
Yep.
there's a really cool company up the road who do great terrines, and we're going to make our own meats, do our own small goods, get a meat slicer, get some cheeses, do cheese boards and stuff like that.
So
Nice.
would you have, like, when you say weddings, would you have
Hmm.
like a sort of a Vegas chapel?
I
Yeah,
am
so
actually going
when
to become an
people
ordained
go to-
minister,
Yeah.
Brian. So, yeah. No,
So
I'm
if people
not,
get
yeah.
really whacked, well, they will.
I'm going to have. You can get married at the front and divorced
Yeah.
at the back. Yeah.
Yeah, like,
literally.
what's
You can
the
have a drive-through. You've got the,
Drive-through.
yeah.
yeah? What's in that room? Oh, that's where you get married after the
Yeah,
pizza and
yeah.
heaps of came from.
Yep.
Oh, excellent.
And what's in that room? That's where you get divorced. No, it's just sort of, it's just, basically I'm just building somewhere I wanted to hang out. The kind of, it's just going to be like an urban brewery that is so hot right now. There's urban breweries everywhere, and then I'll just, instead of that, I'll be making wine. I'm going to have beer on sale. We're going to eventually distill stuff as well, and
Nice.
fully integrated.
And opening soon.
Yeah, well, I'm hopefully going to have the bar open and temporary license ready to go in July. Is the plan.
Oh, cool.
Sometime in July.
And the name? Gary Mills House of Awesome?
No, it's Jamsheed Urban Winery.
Nice.
It's a really inventive title I've thought long and hard about.
Sure. Great.
Jamsheed Wines Urban Winery by Jamsheed.
Gary Mills Reserve Signature Series.
So, yeah, there's going to be a winemaker's selection, family, reserve, Yarra Valley, Leering Grange, Gulch.
And how long's it taken?
It took me 4 years to find this site.
Right.
I've been actively looking for sites for 4 years.
Using Apple Maps or something?
Geomapping.
Yeah.
Just walking, just walking the streets
Like,
actively.
My girlfriend is
Inactive wear?
so
Were you in
sick
active
of-
wear?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay,
totally,
cool.
yeah.
Yep.
No. just skins. Yeah. With no pants.
I
And a
saw a dude doing that.
Yeah.
How they're loading up the boot. I'm like,
In skins.
his wife said to him,
Why
"You
doing
look fine. That's fine.
Everyone wants to see you block and tackle. They really do.
It's fine."
But no, my girlfriend is so sick of driving around places and go, I looked at that. I looked at that warehouse potential. I looked at that. I
God.
looked at that. She's like, just fucking shut up. I know you looked at a lot of places.
Just
mate."
look at me for once.
Yeah, that's easy. All right. But yeah, like it was because it's like, I mean, you guys you got wineries. It's quite particular what you want for a winery. You can't
Yep.
just a building doesn't a winery make. So. It's all it needs to be is cheap, which
Yeah.
is what I got. No, so this place it's
Well, accessible, I think.
accessible. Yes, exactly.
Lots of
Trucking
space. I mean,
yeah,
clearly,
space,
you want
height,
people to come
and
here.
It's
restrictions
ridiculous.
and-
You play rugby in here.
Yeah, you could. Well,
We will,
I
we
was
will.
tempted to put a batting cage at one point in like a hitting cage.
Well,
in
there's
one
got to be
side,
ping
so-
pong.
Yeah, there's a pool table coming. so-
Exactly.
You still playing baseball?
Yeah. We didn't have a game this weekend because of Queen's birthday weekend. but
Right, she doesn't like baseball.
Queen's not a fan.
Right.
We respect the Queen. We don't. We celebrate the birthday rather than play baseball. No. Yeah, I'm playing. Yeah, I play for Melbourne Uni. So
You started that in here or Japan or?
Oh, I've been playing baseball in Perth. I played for West Stirling Indians from
Right.
when I was 13. I played for a quiet little
How'd you get into it?
30 odd years now. Don't know. It was
Because you're a pitcher.
mainly because
aren't you?
cricket was really boring.
Yep.
Yeah, like you stand around, there's just picking your nose in the outfield, and cricketers going, "This is the worst." Like, no one can hit a ball that far.
Yeah.
And then I had a mate at primary school who was like, "Oh, there's a baseball club literally next door to the cricket ground," and he's like, "You can throw the ball, can't you?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You're a left-hander, aren't you?" I was like, "Yeah." And it's like, "Yeah, okay, come play baseball." It was all over in a couple of hours, And there's something happening every pitch, so there's always something to do. And as a pitcher,
You're actually really good though, aren't you? And you blew
Oh,
you blew your shoulder out.
I blew
didn't
my
you?
shoulder out now.
But
That's 'cause I was
you're on the
19,
way
yeah.
though, weren't you?
I got scouted.
Yeah.
There was just one thing though that was always in my way, is I was never good enough. So
Right.
it's just it's
That's
a really hard.
Same as
thing
me
to
with a
get
lot
up.
of things.
Yeah.
Never got
Yep.
scared.
And I reckon
Yeah,
if
no,
I
never. No.
But I reckon if I'd been 19 now, I would have had a free college education in the States. Like
Yeah.
there's kids. This is the beauty of it. Like, there's kids going over now. Like we've got 3 kids in our club at the moment who are currently in the middle of a 28-day baseball festival in Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. And they're just playing 28 games of baseball in 28 days, and there's the scouts and colleges and pro scouts and everybody over there just having a look at them. And 2 of them have already found college scholarships.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
And they're good. They're good. I mean, they're probably better than I am when I
Don't
when
tell
I was
them that.
19, so.
Don't tell them.
I'll edit that one.
But if you're tall and left-handed and can throw a half-decent fastball, then they want to see you because
Yeah.
that's the money in baseball.
Right, because
Left-hand-
most of
tall
the batters
left-handed
are
pitchers.
right-handed.
Oh, it's just lefties. This thing about lefties are harder to hit. So
Right.
deception, whatever. But
Same as in that really great game, cricket.
cricket, yeah, lefties.
Yeah, that you mentioned earlier. Yeah.
I love cricket. I still watch cricket. I just never want to play cricket.
No, fair enough.
So, and cricket, like bowling, is really hard on your back. Bowlers don't have a long shelf life. Whereas pitchers, you know, my great hero in baseball is Randy Johnson, the unit, the only man who's ever killed a bird in flight with a pitch.
Right.
Google it. YouTube is one of the most amazing things.
Okay, cool.
This bird explodes.
No.
He hits it with like a 97 mile an hour fastball, and it's just like, there was once a bird. So, anyway, so he pitched in the majors when he was 46. He threw a no hitter in,
And that means obviously what it sounds like.
No hits. No runs, no hits, shut out. And he threw him when he was 40, you know, and that's professional. So there was always more longevity in baseball. So
Right.
I always
Heaps
wanted to
more
be a
drugs
pro
as well in America to take
yeah.
to sort of keep everything.
Oh yeah, there's a great
Going.
history of drugs, but all sports are like that. I mean,
Oh, I'm not saying that the fella you mentioned was a drug taker either.
probably everyone took everything. So
I'll edit that as well.
yeah.
Did you play any sport?
Oh, heaps of sport. Not well, but I did play lots of sport.
Yeah.
I played a lot of footy. Golf was my game. I love
There's
golf.
longevity in that.
Golf. Yeah.
There is, yeah. I've rebuilt my swing, so I've been playing really bad golf of late. But
Are the
yeah.
kids into it? The boys?
Yeah, they will be because look, I mean,
They will be. They have
don't know
no
it yet.
choice.
Yeah, I mean, like
They're
I
playing
think
footy and stuff, are they?
no, they're all kind of Malachi's into. He loves his cricket.
Okay.
But we wanted to get him into baseball this season. He's a lefty as well, and he's quite a big unit now. He's getting quite strong.
How old?
So we'll get him into it next year. I might even bring him down to your club actually.
Yeah, bring down Essendon. If he's a
Yeah.
junior, bring down the
Yeah, that's
Essendon.
where they've told me to.
Yeah, that's
to
the best.
come.
Yeah.
But no,
Seriously,
but
it's where you get the best coaching and
all right.
skills.
I'll get him. I might even bring you on Tuesday. And
Yeah.
sort it out. But no, I just played every sport. I loved it.
Yep.
I just was sort of master of none. Really, just enjoyed it, and I don't know. It wasn't like nowadays where sort of you're on your phone. We didn't have mobile phones. We just
Yeah.
literally all we did in Perth was play sport every day, after school, before school. So it was good.
Yes, I mean, I growing up, I played at every winter it was hockey and football, and in summer it was surfing and cricket and
Yeah.
baseball and this, and then you'd just play some things for fun and do the
A
other
lot more
bits.
light, yeah.
And of
'Cause you
course,
gotta
the list of options that you had down in Margaret River were always just amazing, weren't they?
Yeah.
So many things at your doorstep. So.
Well, I didn't grow up down there. I was in
No.
well, all over the shop, but yeah, and we were in Freo, and there was just as many
Yeah.
hanging out the train station, you know, fishing off the mole.
hey, come on, the molds are all right. When the bonito come in, mate, it's good fun.
Yeah, that's
Sardines.
Can't eat them, but good to catch.
Make good soups.
So what's next for you, Brian? More wine?
Kind of. Oh, look, yeah, I will eventually make some wine. Now it's just sort of giving my wife a chance to have a career after having the three boys. Really wanting her to have a crack. Still selling Izway, and enjoying that very much in Melbourne. So I still got my hand in the game. And just a few other sort of commercial ventures outside of wine, just having a crack at some other stuff. I came in as a businessman before I was a winemaker, so I'll always be that. And I guess that's probably a bit to do with why our business was commercially successful. We're a team, obviously, but that was, I came in with a bit of acumen in business.
Sure.
It's all well and good to make nice wines that
God, I
people
wish
have
I'd
to
had
drink.
that when I started. So.
Oh, it's so...
No idea.
I think you did, Gary. It's just about that you...
Your wines are rubbish. I mean, you know. No, sorry, couldn't resist.
No, I reckon it's the other way around. I reckon I'm fucking lucky that I actually can make a decent bottle of wine because I'm a shit businessman. Really.
No, I can't see someone being in the game making wine. Your first vintage was 03. Your first one was 03.
Yeah.
I mean, someone that's been making wine for 16 years and still standing, I think, a story of success. But
Well, once this place opens, it'll be a very different story. But yeah, it's tough at the moment. So.
I think, from what I've, time in the market, speaking to people, it's tough for everyone.
Tough for everything, yeah.
But if you're not, as Brian said, if you're not half decent at business, at the end of the day, it's a business. If you're not selling it, then you can't afford to make it the next year and
No, exactly.
back drive an Uber.
yeah, I mean, don't take me the wrong way. I didn't come into it. I came into wine from absolute passion. My first wine I had was with my dad when I was sort of 16. A really nice wine, and that kind of opened my eyes. He always loved good wine. That really is why I got into the wine business. But it just so happens that I mean, probably the biggest thing for me wasn't so much a business background, but it was seeing, not to be too morbid about it, but my father's business failed dismally. And I saw that. I learnt that lesson about going, that's just not going to happen, and you just fight tooth and nail. And that's what I kind of brought to the business. And we didn't start with a lot, but Yeah, it was successful and it's
been
great.
very successful.
Yeah, well done.
That's good fun.
Yeah, I think it's like I looked at, my dad was the same. He was always a small business owner and just sort of saw his work ethic and what's required to do it. And there's a certain level of stubbornness. And, you can't be fragile. You can't have a fragile ego in this business and
No.
take the hits and just keep rolling. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember at the beginning when I was making wine at Deep Woods and someone would come back and say, I don't like that wine. And I just take it completely personally and just be down for days.
Yep.
And then when you get sort of more of a perspective on things, it's like, well, that's fine. I don't like your shirt. So
Yeah. You're a stupid
everyone's
face.
got different. No, yeah. And your stupid face. Yeah, but everyone's got like different.
She used to be my girlfriend.
No, I know
everyone like the
exactly
same
what
stuff.
It's
We'd all be drinking Yellowtail.
Yeah, totally. And look, and one of the best decisions I ever made was not sell my own wine. Because I tried to rep my own wine for the first couple of years, and you'd spend a year of your blood, sweat, and tears. You're in a debt, and you've got this beautiful one that you're so proud of, and you show it to this kid, pimply-faced 19-year-old smelling. He's like, yeah, it's a bit green. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking stab you. Just, I was like, so I'm. It's very good I don't sell my own wine now.
Sure. Yeah, I used to do it, and we had some horror stories.
Yeah.
I even tried to do it in Sydney from Margaret River, so that went okay.
Well, Sydney's actually a good market.
You've
There's a
done
lot
very
more
well with selling your own wine. But sorry, Gary, you've done extremely well. Always selling your own wine, mate. You're talking it down, but that's all right.
No, well, to put that in, I've spoken about this before, but to put it in perspective, I used to do all the sales in Perth up to 2 years ago, say, where we got a wholesaler. And I was like, I can't sign with a wholesaler. I can't give up that cut. That 30% is really important. Within 6 months, they were selling more at a higher price than what I was selling it at. And I was in a better off position.
And you weren't having to chase cash and make the amount of hours involved in trying to sell it.
Oh, exactly. But no, I was getting more than like I was selling direct.
Yeah.
They were paying, the wholesaler was paying me more because I was just really shit at it.
Yeah.
Well, I think what happened is you just have so many balls in the air, you get to a point where you're just not doing any job really well. And so I had some, barnacle on people who were like, yeah, if you just same price, mate, that's all good. As long as I don't have to go, it saves me another trip to Perth and another couple of days.
Yeah, not enough time to work on the business.
Yeah.
Saying, yeah. I mean, that was a lot of the reason I got out of Izway. I was kind of like, I got out of Izway because I was very happy with where it was at, and I was very happy that Craig and his wife wanted to buy my share, and they live on the property, but a lot of that stuff kind of wore me down a bit, the minutiae of it all. But I was the opposite. I loved selling the wine. I mean, we had to do it.
Yeah.
I know you enjoyed it, but it's just
No, I really didn't enjoy it.
you didn't enjoy it at all. That's what I was about to say, actually.
I mean, I enjoyed it if something sold, but I hated the process. You're a natural salesperson. You're a lot more gregarious like that.
I was terrible with people. If there was rejection, I couldn't stand it. Like I'd get to the point where I'm going, I'm just not, like I would, at some points I'd be like, I'm not going to ring them. I'd already had the conversation with certain restaurants. I've already had the conversation in my head, and I go, this is how it goes. You ring him, go, nah, Barossa, whatever. And you go, shut up, like it's really good. It is actually from Terroir. And like, yeah, okay, whatever, and they hang up. And then I actually ring, and they go, yeah, Izway. Yeah, no, I'd love to try that. Yeah, I've drank some of that stuff before. I really love it. Come in. And you go, oh, yeah, okay, cool. I should be more like that all the time.
Yeah, see, I'm the opposite. Like, I still have this list, and like much to Kathy's frustration, there's a list of
in Bebo.
Kathy in Bebo, my sales rep, the company, distillery company, and there's still a list of people I refuse to sell to because they said no first.
Right.
Like there's restaurants, like a couple down, local restaurants.
Don't make more editing for me.
No, I'm not going to name anyone. No, but like naming, I'd call them up and go, there's Jamsheed wines, there's new wine. You're doing taste wines. We're like, no, I don't want to taste new wines. They'd be like, you don't even want to taste them. They'd be like, yeah, nah. And we're like, I'm going to write a black line under your name. And it's like, and there's still black lines under the name. Like, no. Oh, they want some wine now. No, they can't have any.
What was the reason they didn't like?
I don't know. Didn't know the brand. Didn't want to see it. Didn't care enough to even try it.
So I've got the best idea for this place for you. You can get printed toilet paper now, so you should just print the names of all those people on the toilet paper and have them in the toilets here.
Oh yeah,
That's a good idea.
Yeah. But I just love it. Like I just love it when and Kath will come up again. She's like, oh, such and such one, spicy one. I'm like, no. I said no.
Do you
Like,
have it in
Gary,
your
that
pocket?
was
Do you have the
15
book-
years ago.
Do
I'm
you have
like,
the book in
no.
your pocket? You just carry it around. It's
There's
burnt
been
in your
6
memory.
new owners.
Yeah, don't need a book, yeah.
6 new owners.
It's
It's in a
burned down
different
twice and
building.
been
Yeah.
rebuilt.
It's been renamed 5 times. No, it's the same address.
I know who it is.
Oh, funny.
Their spirit is still in the building.
So where are we going to go for a beer?
I don't know. What do you feel like? Well, now the ball's closed. We can go. Are you come? Can you drink another beer? Or are you sort
No.
of, okay.
On
you're gonna go home?
antibiotics, 2 is the limit.
Okay.
Well, it's not.
Do you want to come and have a lemonade while we have a beer?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, good.
Cool.
We'll find somewhere. Carwin Cellars, maybe. I can give you a lift back to the city too.
Yeah, sweet. All right. Well, can wrap it up. You can find Gary at what's the address here
It's 4 Albert Street, Preston.
for Gary's House of Love,
Which is Gary's House of Love and special things.
and then it'll be open.
Hopefully July.
All
Watch,
right.
watch this space. If for all the, I don't know, I'm doing a crowdfunding campaign. You probably won't get this out for the crowd. I'm starting a crowdfunding
We don't have
campaign next
internet
week.
in Western Australia.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Crowdfunding campaign
For
starting
tattoos
next
or
week. Yeah.
what is the crowdfunding?
For money. Cold, hard cash.
Oh, to finish
to set the
this
bar
thing.
up.
Right.
It's more for the second development. So get the second. It's mainly for disabled access because we'll build
Sure.
a very long disabled
yeah, of
ramp.
course.
Yeah.
And just finish. Yeah, it'll be to do things well. Like I've pretty much paid for everything now, but it's mainly for the second development, which will be a permanent wine bar up top, second sort of space.
Great, and that's a separate entrance from outside.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, separate thing altogether. But just to be able to split the place off and have more and more.
What's that going to be called?
Don't know. Yeah,
Cool.
So what if the
Jamsheed Den
guys
of
that,
iniquity.
what if the guys that the people
Upstairs
that
den.
didn't want to buy your wine for starters,
Yeah.
like crowdfund you? Like, are you going to take their crowdfund?
Oh, I'll take their money. Yeah.
So is
Still not
that
gonna
kind
sell
of
them wine,
is that
so-
the reversal? For
No, they don't get any wine though. So.
Oh, right. Okay.
So that's that's
Of course
bitter.
not.
That's really bitter.
That's pretty dark, buddy.
Yeah, they have a special place in the corner of my cold, dark heart.
Thanks for the money. You are not welcome. You are not welcome.
I know who you are, but I gave you some money. I don't care. Do you want it back? Yeah.
Classic.
No, we're gonna raise a bit of capital, just finish it off, and do some more accoutrements.
Cool.
Buy some bigger toys and big barrels,
And then what? You on?
and have.
No one's on
big
Twitter
party.
anymore.
No, I'm on Insta.
Cool.
Jamsheed Wines at Instagram.
It's easy. Are you on Insta? Yes.
Izway Wines is on Insta. Yes,
Cool.
I kind of, I'm not really
Decline.
good at it, so Craig and Catherine look after that side of things, which is good.
That's why there's a lot of topless photos of Craig on there, isn't there?
Oh, nude, yeah, full nude.
Nude, yeah,
but
full nude,
I
One arm push-ups.
Yeah. So, yeah. No, I don't really. Yeah, I read a lot of books now. I'm trying to not look at my phone as much, but it's very important for everyone that needs to know where Gary is, and also the Jamsheed and the Izway Wines. Get on there, but
My Instagram account is-
Izway_wines. Yeah,
My Instagram account is pretty much bad photos of food and stupid things. I think
It
Instagram
is,
generally
it
should
is,
be
yeah,
just
it is
to
it
take
is.
the mickey out of people as much as possible. That's sort of what I think Instagram's about. Be as funny as possible.
Yeah.
There's nothing serious about it. So.
I'll show you something.
Take
I'll
the
show you something when we
typicity out
cut
of
it off. There's the most hilarious. Anyway, I'm just going to leave it at that. But there's something
We'll have a
I've
look
got to
at it
show
later.
you.
Right.
It's fantastic. Oh, well, thanks for the time. Let's go
Thanks, Bernie.
crack a beer.
BG.
Don't know if this
Good
will
man.
ever make it to air, but for all 7
Millsy,
people
good man.
listening,
Thanks, boys. Hey, speaking of beer, how's your brewery coming?
yeah, good. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Did you bring your beer?
You've
no.
got 3 cartons, Gary. I don't think there was much of a
that's-
need for another one.
That was all just swapping. So.
Yeah,
Very
did you
good.
ever know Brad? Happy Brad Jacobson down in Margaret. He used to work at Caves. The Jacobsons, his dad Tony lived on. Tony and Gilda, his mum and dad lived on around a Gallery Road. Was that Hayes
Oh, yeah,
Road?
Hayes Road. Yeah.
Yeah, he just seems like the sort of guy that would know your dad.
Yeah, probably would. Well, my hands are, yeah. I mean,
Well,
he's
I've gone
around it,
partners with
around
him,
the
but yeah, the brewery is built. The tank side of it, and that's on the water. Should have been today, might have been Saturday, just gone, and then that's going to Avalon Beach. But we hope to open. We're actually brewing off-site. We got cans printed Thursday. We've made beer for 2 years, getting the recipe right, but the new can design's printed last Thursday, and then we should be opening the bar 1st of August.
Great.
Yeah,
And where is it?
Avalon Beach. So
Which one's Avalon Beach?
well, it's sort of up on that peninsula. So you've got
It's the really beachy one.
Yeah, it's quite
Sandy
beachy. So
one.
you start at Manly. It's Northern Beaches. So you start at Manly and you go up through
Oh, it's New South Wales.
Mona Vale.
Oh, geez, I
yeah.
was just trying to think of Avalon Beach and Margaret River.
No. So
Yeah,
it's
right.
over in New South Wales.
Fab.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So we've got the only industrial site in Avalon Beach. The other one is the petrol station. Well, commercial site. Like everything else is just retail.
So how many litres are you going to brew to begin with?
We're restricted to 90,000 litres on that site because
Yep.
of wastewater flood,
Yeah, sure.
etc. So other stuff we'll just do off-site.
Offsite.
So this new gear's been done at a place called Australian Brewery. They're just going to do our first batch, and so then we can open with something while we're
Yeah,
trying
cool.
to work this brewery out.
Great.
Yeah, should be
It's
good.
exciting.
Yeah, it'd be good. I'll send you some.
When's the opening?
Oh, come up.
We're not sure because I haven't heard.
We'll both go on.
yeah. Yeah, I like
love
beer.
openings. I'm really good at openings.
Really?
Yeah. Because they're all free.
Do you do
Generally
the
get free
ticker tape?
things.
Are you the ticker tape man?
That's your other Instagram account, isn't it? Gary's good at opening.
Gary's good at opening. Gary loves free things.
Yeah, cool. All right, I'll shut it down. Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
Thanks, Benji.
Thank you for listening to episode 3. Check out show notes at realwinepeople.com. Please subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. And if you leave a rating, that is really cool too. And tell your friends. That would be helpful in lots of many ways. Thanks again. Have a great day.